Did you know that if you were to compare all the streamers that are in the world today, you would find out there are actually more streamers today than there were in the 1800s? That's actually great news for you, because that means that streaming is more accessible than it's ever been before, and I'm going to help you access it. Over the next couple weeks, we're going to go through a video series that's going to show you how to have a professional looking stream that people want to watch. Before we go any further, I do need to let you know that you can catch me streaming myself on YouTube Live every Monday after 6, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday after 9:30. I'm going to be here as much as I possibly can, and I'd love to have you drop by. Anyway, let's hop into it. Step one is always going to be know your rig. Whether you're on PC or console, know what you can and can't do. For PC guys, this is going to be much more simpler startup. You can get started streaming today. Console guys, it may look a little bit different because you do need extra equipment to get a good stream right out the gate. So right off the bat, you know you have your console. Know what you have, because if you're a PS4 guy, you know there's a huge difference between a PS4 Slim and a PS4 Pro. And then we also have the PS5 coming out. Big difference between all three of those. If you're an Xbox Microsoft fanboy, keep in mind, once again, huge difference between each level of the Xbox. Know what your rig can do. But if you are on console, there is one more piece of equipment you have to have. You have to have an Elgato stream capture card, or really any stream capture card. It doesn't have to be Elgato, but whatever one's going to work for you. Know what that can handle, and then it has to go into a PC, laptop, desktop, whatever that looks like, Mac, whatever's going to be easiest for you, whatever you have on hand. Regardless, there's an extra step in there, and every step of the way, know what your rig can and can't do, and know what it can and can't handle, and all the fun ins and outs and features of it. Know what you got, what you're playing with. If you're PC, although there's a lot more specs you really need to know off the top of your head, this is simpler because you don't have to have the Elgato screen capture card. You can just run your PC, and you can get started today if all you have is your PC, but still know what you have. The importance of this is monumental, because depending on what you have is going to change how you set stuff up. There's a lot of different streaming programs. There's OBS, there's Streamlabs OBS, there's more. I can't remember them all, but I know there's more. And depending on which one you use, is going to have different features, different effects, and is going to have different capabilities. And the biggest thing is that you have to put that to your PC's or console build or desktop's capabilities so that you have the best possible stream. I'm going to give you an example of why this is so important. I have a good build. I love my PC build, but it was a budget build. I was trying to get gaming as quickly as possible, and one of the shortcuts that I took to be able to get gaming quicker was I bought a second-hand processor, motherboard, and RAM. I got a great deal on it, and it works well for me to this day. However, with that, my processor was a 3700K. That was great in its time, but it is still, it's struggling today with the new games, the new processing capabilities that are required of it. It has a hard time. So I know my processor is going to struggle. On the other side, I have a great graphics card. I have a 2070 Super, and it is fantastic. I've never had any issues with it. It runs really, really well, and I know it's only running at about 25 to 50% of its capabilities at any given moment. So I know I have a weak processor and a great graphics card. GPU, great GPU. Anyway, so this is so important. I tried to use Streamlabs OBS, or OBS Streamlabs, because it had all these different widgets and cool overlays and all that kind of stuff that if I paid for Prime, I could use on an instant, and it was simple, easy, quick kind of thing. It was a great idea, except for Streamlabs OBS uses more processing power than regular OBS. On regular OBS, because it's running less things, it's a lot simpler. So I tried Streamlabs OBS, and those videos had, it was jittering, I had frames drop, constant issues. So I had to pivot back to OBS, and then even further, I had to use my GPU to process my stream information, not my CPU, because I know that it's stronger and can handle it, because I know my rig. And I cannot stress that enough. Know your rig, know what you can and can't do. I also know that in my stream, I like to run multiple programs. I have, OBS open, obviously. I'm running through YouTube, so I have Chrome opened with YouTube running on it, which is very RAM and processor heavy. And then I have the game itself, which is also running, and that's using processor and GPU. And then I'm also running like Spotify or something like that. I know that I can run all of those with my current setup with, next to no issues. However, if I were to throw in one more thing, so with the, music is a great example. I tried to use Pretzel, and Pretzel makes you stream all the music. Well, that added just enough on my processor that all of a sudden I was having huge lags, and it was unbearable. You couldn't watch it and you couldn't play. Okay, so it was so important that I had to switch back to Spotify so I could download my playlist to take just that little bit off of my processor so that I could move forward. So it's extraordinarily important to know your rig and know what you can do with it. It's going to take you, as we finish out the series, as we keep going into things like audio, your video, your webcam, your whatever that may look like in the upcoming videos, knowing your rig is going to be paramount to how you set up your next steps. So please take some time, figure out what yours can and can't do, figure out how yours ties together. Next time we're going to be talking about audio, and there are limitations on how much audio you can push through a stream. There are ways to separate it and change things up, and we'll cover all that in the next video. But if you don't know your rig, that's going to be extraordinarily difficult to keep up and know what you can and can't do. It doesn't matter what I can do, it matters what you can do. So please join me next week. We're going to do audio. Okay, I'm so excited to have you guys. Please join me next week. It's going to be a good time, and in the meantime, learn your rig, dude.